Okay, here we are on the carrier unit. I've got it locked out, tagged out there on the disconnect. Checked my meter already, made sure that my meter was working this morning. We're gonna check our main wires are coming in right here, so put our leads there. Got nothing. Another thing I like to do is just go to ground, because that's what you are going to be. So we're going to go from power to ground. We got no power. So first thing we like to do is just a visual on the wiring. Is all my wiring over here tight? This tight. Grab a screwdriver, go on the power coming in. Sometimes those are loose. That's pretty good. Little click there. Little click there. Little click there. Go through. These all seem pretty tight. Plugs, like a visual inspection. So anything looks burnt, corroded. Does my capacitor look blown up? Bubbled up in the top? No, looks pretty good. Nothing there. So I got the panel off for the blower. Again, we're locked out, so we're good there. Check the tension on the belt. That's pretty good. Carrier's now using these plastic shivs, which I'm not a big fan of. They tend to use leave a little bit of dust down in here. Motor solid. Spin it by hand. It's got a little noise, but I think that's belt noise. There's nothing on the bearing side there. Blower looks good. This down here is our heat exchanger. This is a little bit newer unit. I don't think they tend to use the heat as much. Big thing on these would be like some rust up in there. I can get my light up in there. Anyway, up on they call that like the collector boxes up top here and stuff. You'll get a lot of the acid from the burning of the gas and that, and moisture sits up in there. So these tend to rust out. Just do a visual here. We're doing a spring PM, so we're more concerned with our air conditioning. We'll look again at this in fall, but that looks okay. There's our condensate drain for our evaporator. Here's our filter side. Got our filter cover. Again, we have an economizer on here for using outside air instead of air conditioning when it calls for that. So let's pull this cover off real quick. Hang on a second. So we have access to our compressor in one end of our evaporator coil. We can pull our connector off here. These are tight. You can always put a little dielectric grease in there if you want to. Those look good. No kinds of wiring. Get the debris out. Condenser coil. Good shape, nothing wrong there. There's our fan. So we have our access ports here, but we also have, look, we've got a low pressure cutout, a bullet style, and we have a high pressure cutout, bullet style. So those are non-adjustable, factory set. When you do change those, if for some reason you would have to, make sure you get the OEM ones, know the ratings on there. We don't want to be changing them out with something that's not going to protect. Blue thing back there, right there, is our filter dryer. So that's coming out of our condenser coil, going up and feeding in here. We do not have a TXV. We have what's called the fixed orifice in here. So this is feeding into this main liquid column, and then it's feeding through here, and the orifices are going to be right on the coil side there. So condenser fan motor blade. So we do a visual right there. I'm going to put some panels back on because you're going to run this, so I'll set this back a little bit. We'll throw some panels on. All right. I'm going to button up those other panels, and then we'll come back to look at this control panel a little bit. We'll take some amp readings and run it through some tests. There you go. Alright, so we're gonna do a voltage test. I'll take my lockout tag out off. Actually turn the blower on right away. Here's our incoming 481, 481, 481. Write that down. Right down here. You can do an amp draw right away on our blower since that one's pulled in. For you to see 2.1 amps there, and so on our tag for our unit it says 2.5. We're at 2.1. I'm okay with that. We have a standard thermostat connection, so we don't have a building control system, so we can jump our thermostat wires. So red is going to be our power. Let's turn on the heat. So we're going to jump red to white. So it's important to know what your stats are. Again, we're doing a spring PM, but I always like to test it just in case because they're still using heat. We had it light, fire off. That's all I'm really checking for now. I'm not going to get anything further. Heat works, blower works. So as long as it's working, I'm not going to have an issue with it because again, we're doing a spring air conditioning style PM. Alright, so I'm going to take my jumper off of there. We'll let that cycle. So our inducer just shut down. So let's bang on our air conditioning. So we're going to go from red to our Y1. Alright, air conditioning's on. Compressor contactor pulled in. We don't want to take amp readings right away. We want to kind of let it settle out, you know, let it run for a little bit. You can see that our condenser fan's running. We could hear that our compressor turned on. So let's look and see what our compressor, low load amps compressor is 5.8. So our wiring for our compressor is right here. Coming down through here. 3.4 on that one. Let's try the black. 3.2. It's fine. It's a little under, but there's probably not a lot of load on it right now. Again, they were running heat before. So that's going to be the basic one here. We can get into more where we would do pressure readings and that, but they're not really calling for it right now. So you can do a temperature differential too with your temp probes. Some of people call for that. They don't really, they want the basic one here. So if we wanted to, we'd have our compressor compartment open. We could gauge up there. We could see what our, again, pressure, temperature, check the discharge air temperature. The one that they want here is just a basic, hey, does it come on? Is it running? Is it cooling? We've got, it's not shutting off on, you know, if we were out of gas, it'd be probably shutting off or cycling on that low pressure. If our condenser fan wasn't running, it'd probably be cycling off a high pressure. So every customer's a little different depending on how they want you to do it. Like I said, this one is a basic, hey, just check it over. If there's any issues, write it up, and then we come back and dig into it further. So right here, everything looks okay. This one has a code up there. We have a red light up there. Here are our faults, but these faults, if you look at them, are mainly for our heating section. So on is normal operation, which is what we're at. Off is either a hardware failure or you don't have the power on. Okay. The other ones are going to be like our heat limit switch, flame sense, 4 consecutive limit switch faults, you know, whatever, ignition lockout. So that's all for our heat lockout. So if we had a heating issue, we would look at that the red light at the top, our indicator light, and do that. On the board over here, if you look, what's nice is we can check. We only have one circuit, but we can check our low pressure switch. If our compressor was turning on and off, and we had our meter here, say we were in troubleshooting mode. Put this down for a second. So the blue wires are our low pressure switch. So this is where the electrical aspect comes in. Since it's running, should I have voltage or shouldn't I have voltage? So I'm going to go across it. I don't have any voltage. Now if I take one of these to ground, whoop, there's my 27 volts. So if I had voltage here, that would be telling me, oops, my arm's probably in there. If I had voltage here, it would be telling me that, hey, my low pressure switch is opening because it's not allowing that current to flow through it. Same thing with your high pressure switch. I don't have voltage there, but if you take one of them off and go to ground with it, I'm going to get my 27 volts for my control circuit. And that's on that board down there for the carrier, right there, low pressure, high pressure. Again, you got to know what you're supposed to be reading. So when you go to troubleshoot, you're good. All right, there we just took the jumper off. Our blower's still on because they have probably it in a fan in an on position from the thermostat. But nothing really complicated. Actually, it's just because I had it, again, it was heating before. So I just ran the air conditioning and now the heat just started. So still kind of chilly this morning. All right, I'm going to pause this one or stop this one, and then the next one will be on that Aeon unit, and we'll get a little more in depth. We have some greasing to do over there.